Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki
Jai,
Jai.
Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
So we request all of you to repeat the prayers after me. So we'll be chanting these prayers. Kindly repeat behind me. Om Agyanatimirandhasya
Om Jnanam Timirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Chakshur Unmilitam Yena
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Tasmai
Jai
Shri
Shri
Gurave
Guru Namaha.
Namaha
Namah Om Vishnupadaya
Nama Om Vishnupadaya
Krishna Presthaya Bhutale
Krishna Prasthaya
Prabhaya
Bhutale
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta
Srimati
Srimati
Bhakti
Bhakti
Vedanta
Vedanta
Swamin Iti Namine
Swamin
Swamin
Iti
Iti Namine.
Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Namaste
Namaste
Saraswate Deve
Gauravani Pracharine
Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Shunyavadi
Pashatya Deshatarine
Pashatadeshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jai
Jai
Shri
Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri
Shri Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi
Srivasadi
Gaura Bhakta
Gaura
Vrinda
Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
So Hare Krishna to one and all once again. So today we will begin discussion on the 13th verse of the Bhagavad Gita. From text 13 onwards we'll discuss. So I'm just sharing the screen with all of you. So all those who have Bhagavad Gita, you can actually take out. Okay, some problem, I'm not able to share the screen here. Okay. Okay, everybody has the Bhagavad Gita along with you now?
Yes,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so
Yes, Prabhu.
kindly turn to text 13 of the second chapter. So everybody has the words on your mobile or on the book. Okay. So kindly repeat behind me. So I want all of you to chant here. So all the devotees who are there online on Zoom or YouTube. So kindly try chanting after me. It's not so difficult. We can learn these verses very easily. Dehino asmin yatha dehe
Dehino asmin yata dehe
kaumaram yauvanam chara
kaumaram yauvanam
तथा
jara
देहांतर प्राप्तिर
तथा
तथा
देहांतरा
देहानंतर प्राप्तिर
प्राप्तिर्
धीरस तत्र न मुह्यति
धीरस्तत्र न मोहयति
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे
कौमारं यौवनं जरा
कौमारं यौवनं जरा
तथा देहान्तरः प्राप्ति
तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
धीरस्तत्र न मोह्यति.
Okay, anybody would like to chant this verse?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, please go on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
देहिनो अस्मिन् यत देहे
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे
कौमारम् अयुवनं
कौमारं यौवनं
कौमारं यौवनं जरा
जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्
तथा
देहान्तरप्राप्तिर् धीरस्तत्र न मोहयति.
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. Okay. Any Matajis, any ladies would like to chant?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, your name?
I'm Shanti.
Yes,
Srimati
Mataji.
Shanti.
Please,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumar.
Okay, just
Dehino yasmin
देहिनो अस्मिन् यथा देहे
kaumaram yauvanam jara
कौमारं यौवनं जरा
tata dehantara praptir
तथा
देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्
धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते.
धीरस्तत्र न मोहति.
Okay, kindly repeat the translation behind me. As the embodied soul continuously passes
As the embodied soul continuously passes
in this body
In this body,
in this body,
from boyhood to youth to old age,
from boyhood to youth to old age,
the soul similarly passes
the soul similarly passes
into another body
into another body
at death.
at death.
A sober person
A sober person
is not bewildered
a sober person is not bewildered
by such a change.
by such a change.
Okay, so in the previous verse to this, the Lord actually explains about himself and the living entity, that both of them have been always there. So I'll just read that verse for you. So Krishna says here, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So before we discuss text 30, just a quick recap of text 12 here. So here the Supreme Lord Krishna is saying about himself that it has not been that at one point of time I actually manifested or came into being. I have always been there, and you have always been there, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra have also always been there. So nobody ceases to exist. So what ceases to exist? What becomes non-existent? So this body which belongs to us, this body ceases to exist. Okay, so we'll go to text 13 now. So how the living entity actually...
Prabhu, can you tell everyone to mute their mic?
Yeah, so...
Hello, Prabhu.
Yes. One small request, devotees...
Can you ask everyone to mute their mic so that we can hear you clearly?
Yes. So I'm requesting everybody to mute themselves so devotees are not able to hear me clearly. Kindly mute yourself now. Okay. Yeah. So the Lord actually says in this text 13 that the soul actually in this body has been passing through different phases of life. So these phases of life actually refer to the phases which our body goes through. Like we all remember that during our childhood time, we had the body of a child. It was very weak, very fragile, very soft, and all of that. Now we are actually well built. Now we have sufficient strength in our body and all of that. So the kind of body what we had before, it's not the same. So we have actually got a different type of body now. So what has happened that we are witnessing these changes in the body. So we have not undergone any change. So we have got a particular type of body now, and we had a particular type of body in the past. So in this life itself, in this body itself, the soul is actually changing bodies at every step. So the scientists actually say that after a certain number of years, so all the cells of the body actually die, and we actually uh, get a completely new body. So all the cells actually are reborn, like all the cells of the body also change. So that means during this life itself, in this body itself, we are actually giving up the old body and we're getting a new type of body. So the Lord is explaining that similarly, when you quit this body, so this body actually which is undergoing all these changes, so which is called death, so you actually acquire another kind of body. So this is just some kind of change which you are witnessing. So you are not undergoing any change. You are a witness. You are experiencing all these changes which happen to your body. So we should not be bewildered by all of these phenomena which happen to the body. We are just a witness. We are witnessing the different changes which happen to the body. But because we are not spiritually situated now, we are not spiritually advanced. So whatever happens to the body, we get affected by that. So the different phenomena in the body like old age, disease. So these all things actually affect us. We overcome all of these things with great difficulty. It's not so easy to actually overcome the different pains and sufferings which we get because of this body. But there are many great spiritually elevated personalities so who do not get affected by whatever happens to their body. So they may not eat for so many days, they may not drink, they may not even breathe, but still they survive. So we can see some examples for this in scriptures. We can see the example of Dhruv Maharaj. So I think many of you know this great devotee boy, a young boy devotee of the Lord, Dhruva. So he actually was performing intense tapasya to actually have darshan of Lord Vishnu. So it's told that for some days actually he was not eating anything. So after some days he stopped even drinking, and after some days he actually stopped even breathing. So how could he survive? So he could survive because of his exalted spiritual status, exalted spiritual position. So generally, whatever happens to us, to our body, we get affected by that. But here the Lord is imparting this lesson to Arjun that don't get much affected by the changes which happen to the body. That is inevitable, that is bound to come. Old age will come, death will come, and at that point, you will get another type of body. So, as in this life itself, you are changing bodies at every step. So, you have the body of a child now when you are a child, then you get a body of a young man or a young woman, then you get an old body when you are in old age. So we are awarded these different types of bodies even in this life. So we actually undergo all of this phenomena. So it's quite natural. So similarly, when you quit this body, you get another body. So there is nothing to be very much disturbed about that. So that means what the Lord is saying that don't be scared of this phenomena called death. So death is something which is inevitable to the body. So a body has to die. The body is actually changing at every step. And when the body is no longer usable, so which is called death, you have to give up this body. You cannot stay in that body any longer. So this body is like a instrument, it's like a vehicle. So through which you can perform certain actions, you can do certain things, you can reach a certain destination. So the highest destination what we can attain with this body. So basically, when Krishna is speaking to Arjun about this concept of body here, he is basically speaking to him about the human body. So there are 84 lakh species of life forms we can get. 84 lakh species of bodies are there. Body of a bird, animal, tree, insect, worm, reptile, like that. But basically, the human body, when we get, it's actually a very invaluable boon. It's actually very important for us to utilize it effectively to attain the purpose of life. And the purpose of life is to actually get liberated, get free from all the sufferings once for all, old age, disease, uh, death, and all of that. And that's possible only in this human form of life. So we learn in our later lessons, in our later classes, how this is possible, how we can actually overcome all of these problems of existence, rebirth, old age, disease, and death. But what Arjun is being instructed here by the Lord, that this is quite natural. Death is something which is common to everybody, and death will come. So all these people actually who are there, they have to quit this body at some point of time. So if somebody dies now, there is nothing much to lament about. They will get another type of body. So Arjun's whole thinking was that how can he kill anybody? But the Lord is saying that you cannot kill anybody because you don't know who is that person. So you think that that person is this external physical body made of earth, water, fire, all the different elements. But we will understand that this body is not something who we are. So we have a body, we are not these bodies. So we have a body, we are not the body, we are actually the inhabitants of the body, we are staying in the body. So it's like a house. So there is the house owner who stays in the house. So he is not the house. This house belongs to him. He stays in the house. So similarly, this body is like house for the living entity. So we are staying in this body, which is like a house. And like people keep changing different houses. They may buy a better flat, they may have a better house and all of that. So similarly, living entities awarded different types of bodies which are compared to houses. So when you leave an old house and get a better house, you don't lament for the old one. So that's what Krishna is trying to instruct Arjuna, that all those who are fighting here on this battlefield of Kurukshetra for the sake of dharma, for the sake of establishing truth, they will actually attain a better destination. So all those who are on the side of dharma, they need not worry. So if they die, they will actually attain a better destination. But people who are on the side of adharma, even if they actually somehow survive, so they are not going to actually get a better future because they are going to get punished sooner or later because of their taking side of adharma. So Krishna is more concerned, Krishna is more worried about what is the ultimate long-term benefit for a living entity. So we are just very much worried about our immediate goals, immediate requirements, immediate necessities, what will give me immediate happiness, what will instantly gratify my senses. But Krishna is saying, no, think about your future. So what's going to be your next life? So think about that. Who are you going to be in the next life? What kind of body you are going to obtain? So in the later verses, we'll see Krishna will speak along those lines that any body, what you get in this world, it's all actually a source of misery, source of suffering, pure unalloyed misery. So don't think that if you get a very beautiful body, if you take birth in a very rich family, you have a lot of name and fame and all of that, that's not going to guarantee you that happiness throughout your life. You may experience some happiness for some period of time, but after that, along comes a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure to actually maintain that status quo, to see to it that you have all your wealth intact, your name and fame is actually uh, always there, your beauty is always as it is now, you want to be looking the same way even after 10 years or 15 years. But that's not the case always. That's never the case. So things keep on changing. So Krishna is instructing Arjun that don't think about immediate goals, immediate happiness. So Arjun is thinking that this is not going to give him happiness, people dying just because we want a kingdom. No, the Lord says that this is actually a war for the establishment of dharma, for the establishment of peace in the society, so that truth can be established, truth can be held, so that adharma can be destroyed. So the Lord is worried about everybody. The Lord is worried about the entire society. But Arjun seems to be just worried about himself. So Arjun does not think that what is the overall good for everybody, including him. So if Arjun fights for the sake of dharma, if Arjun becomes a spiritual person, then actually that is good for him, for his next life, and that's good for everybody. So that's an important lesson what we can learn, that we should not be just concerned about things of this world, of this life, and things which give us immediate happiness, but we should be seeing what is good for us in the long run. So how are we going to progress spiritually? How can I improve my next life situation? So we'll go to the next verse now. So I will just share the screen now with all of you. Okay, can everybody see the screen now? Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Prabhu.
Okay, good. So kindly repeat after me. Matra sparsastu kaunteya
Mata spastu kaunteya
hitoshna sukha dukkhada
Shitoshna
Shitoshna
sukha
Sukha
dukkha
agama painu nityas
agama paino
Agamapaino
nityas
Nityas
tam titikshasva bharata.
tam
Namstitik
stitikshasva
Swabharata.
bharata.
Okay, kindly repeat the translation after me. O son of Kunti,
O son of
O
Kunti,
son of Kunti,
the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress
the non-permanent
non-permanent
appearance of
appearance of
happiness and
happiness and
distress,
distress,
and their disappearance in due course
and their
and their disappearance and due
disappearance in the
course,
due
are like
course,
the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons.
are like the
like
appearance
the
and
appearance
disappearance
and
of winter
disappearance of
and summer
winter and
seasons.
summer seasons.
They arise from sense perception.
They arise from
Arise from
perception.
sense perception.
O Sion of Bharat,
Perception.
O Saikon of
O
Bharat,
icon of
Ocean of
Bharat,
Bharata.
and one must learn to tolerate them without being
And
disturbed.
one must learn
and one must
and
learn
one
to
must learn
tolerate
to
them without
tolerate
being
them without
disturbed.
being disturbed.
Okay, so we'll go to the next verse now. Okay, so we'll read the translation of this. O best among men, Arjun, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Okay, we'll read the next verse also. Okay, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So in the last two verses, text 14 and 15, so if you see, the Lord is instructing Arjun to actually rise above this state of disturbance, that you are thinking about, this is going to make me happy, that's going to make me miserable. So all of these actually are temporary things which actually keep on changing. So don't be very much overcome by all of these things. So there is happiness, there is distress. So that's the nature of this world. It's not actually an absolute state of existence. It's a relative state where nothing is fixed. So there is certain level of happiness and there is certain level of distress. So all of these things actually keep on changing. So like the seasons, winter and summer seasons, and they arise from sense perception. That means uh, Prabhupada gives example that in the winter season, the water at the same temperature may actually feel cold, but in the summer season, that water may actually be very nice to touch. It may actually relieve the heat of your body. So it's just what we perceive the situations to be like. So what it means that the happiness and distress, what we perceive or what we experience now, it's all actually on the sensual platform. It actually keeps on changing. That's not actual reality. So actual reality is something quite beyond the senses and mind. So actual reality is spiritual. So actual happiness is on the spiritual platform. And how do we actually experience that? Uh, Absolute spiritual happiness, that is possible by actually engaging in devotional service, engaging in bhakti to the Lord, engaging in the activities of Krishna consciousness. So in this age of Kali Yuga, the present age where we live, so this age is actually considered a very dark, very degraded, a very obnoxious, a very, uh, so to speak, an age not fit for actually civilized gentlemen. It's actually a very demoniac age, so to speak. So there are so many adharmic activities happening. So religion is actually not followed by people. Even if somebody appears to be religious, it's just some lip service. So they pretend or they proclaim themselves to be religious, but then nobody knows what is true religion, what is spirituality. So how to practice all of these things. There is no proper spiritual or religious education in the present state. So this Kali Yuga is actually a very dark age. It's an age of quarrels and hypocrisy. So regarding this Srimad Bhagavatam, a very great literature, it actually says about the symptoms of this age of Kali. So it says that this age of Kali has a lot of bad symptoms, a lot of bad qualities. So what I just mentioned, all of these bad qualities. But despite all of these bad qualities, this Kali Yuga has, there is one prominent good quality which completely eclipses all the bad qualities, which can completely overpowers, which completely uh, dominates all the bad qualities. That means when this good quality becomes manifest, all the bad qualities actually don't have any effect. They cannot actually affect anybody. So people become immune to all the bad qualities. So this verse actually goes like this. It says Kaler Dosh. So Kaler Dosh means the age of Kali has lot of fault. Kaler Dosh Nidhe Rajan. So Nidhi means an ocean. So this age of Kali Yuga has faults like an ocean. It's like how an ocean is very vast in size. It's actually, so to speak, endless. We cannot see the end of the ocean. We can see the end of a river, but ocean you can't see the ends. You can't see the other shore. So like that, this age of Kali Yuga has lot of bad qualities. Kaler dos nidhe rajan. So O King, Sukhdev Goswami, the speaker of Bhagavatam, he says to Parikshit Maharaj, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of fault, but there is one good quality. Kaler dos nidhe rajan, asti hi eko mahan guna. So there is one good quality about this age of Kali. Asti hi eko mahan guna. There is one great overpowering quality, very prominent quality. What is that? Kirtanad eva Krishnasya. So simply by glorifying the Supreme Lord Krishna. So how do we glorify the Supreme Lord Krishna? In this present age of Kali Yuga, we glorify the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in this age of Kali Yuga by chanting his names. And out of all the different names Lord Krishna has, the name which is recommended for people of this age, for all of us, Kali Yuga souls, is this name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Harer Nam, Harer Nam Eva Kevalam. So three times it says Harer Nam, the name of Lord Hari. So Bhagwan Hari ka naam. Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Eva Kevalam. Eva means certainly. An emphasis is given. Kevalam, only. Harer Nam,
आपने
Harer Nam,
मेरे
Eva
नीचे पैर रख
Kevalam.
दिया था
Kalau
मैंने नहीं रखा। हाँ,
नास्ति
हाँ,
gatir
आपने
अन्यथा.
मेरे नीचे पैर रखा था,
So
देखो
it
ऐसे।
says in this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other way, no other way, no other way than to chant the names of Lord Hari. So Kirtana Dev Krishnasya. So by chanting the names of Lord Krishna, so what happens? What is the benefit? What do we gain? What is the end goal? Kirtana Dev Krishnasya Mukta Sangaha Param Vrajet. So by chanting the names of Lord Krishna, we can actually attain the highest supreme destination. So one request to everybody who are not muted, some noise is coming. If you all can mute yourself. Yeah, now it's okay. So this is one good prominent quality of this age of Kali Yuga, that simply by glorifying the Supreme Lord, by chanting His names, we can actually become immune, we can become unaffected by all the contaminations of this age of Kali Yuga. So this is the way we begin the process of bhakti in this age of Kali Yuga. So bhakti actually has different limbs, different items, different ways in which we can serve the Lord. But the beginning limb of bhakti is to chant the names of Lord. So great acharyas, they say that we can perform bhakti in 9 ways: by hearing about the Lord, by chanting His names, by remembering Him, by worshipping Him, by offering Him prayers, by engaging in offering certain articles to Him, by developing friendship with Him, by revealing our heart to Him, and by completely surrendering on to Him everything with our body, our words and mind, everything. So there are 9 limbs of bhakti: Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran. But the beginning, the prime limb of bhakti is to chant the names of Lord and to hear about the Lord. Shravan and Kirtan. So with our 2 ears, we actually hear about the Lord's glories, the Lord's instructions, the process of bhakti. We hear about the Lord's devotees from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, all of these things. Then actually we develop attraction towards the Supreme Lord. We feel like knowing more about Him. We feel like chanting His names more. So first is Shravanam, then Kirtanam. So what we are doing now, we are actually doing Shravanam. And what you all do daily at your home is Kirtanam. You all chant the names of Lord on your japa beads. Daily you chant a certain number of names of the Lord on your beads, right? Japmala. So that is Kirtan. So both has to go parallelly. But as I said before, Kirtan, chanting the names of Lord, is the prime limb of bhakti. It's the beginning of bhakti. But still, if it is not accompanied by Shravanam, if we don't hear about the Lord's instructions, the Lord's glories, then what will happen? We'll actually lose taste for chanting. It will become mechanical. It will not actually give us much uh, motivation to do that activity day after day. It will start feeling very much tiresome or very hectic or very boring. You don't know why you chant, what's the benefit, and all of that. So, along with Kirtan, that is chanting the names of Lord, we also have to hear why should we chant the names of Lord, which names of the Lord we chant, how we should chant, how we should not chant, what is the benefit we get from chanting, what we lose if we don't chant the names of Lord, what is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita for all of us. So, what are the different instructions of Bhagavad Gita we can practically apply now in our life? So, we have to hear all of these things from devotees or by reading Bhagavad Gita, by reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, which I hope many of you have with you. So, when we read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, then we know the different instructions the Lord actually has for us and what all I can follow at my level, what all is practically doable for me. I should be striving hard, I should be endeavoring to follow that. So, Krishna, actually, the Supreme Lord, is not a very unjust kind of personality. He's actually very fair, he's very intelligent, he is very mature. He understands that what is our capacity, how much we can do, so what all we can do. So the Lord does not see what all you are doing for Him. But Lord sees the things what you are doing for him, how much sincerity is there in that. Krishna does not see big things what you may do or what all people may do in this world. That does not impress the Lord much. So we see Duryodhan actually, he had a lot of wealth, so many things he could actually. Uh, it appeared to him that I can give the Lord lot of wealth. I can offer him so many food items and all of that. So that will impress Krishna. But the Lord was not impressed with him, but he was rather impressed by the sincerity of his pure devotee, Vidur. He was impressed with the devotion of Vidur, by his simplicity, by his sincerity. Because he knew who the Lord is, what actually we can give to him, uh, what he is asking from us. So Krishna is not asking any big thing from us. He is not asking you to leave your spouse or leave your family or give up your job or do anything of that sort. Uh, he's not asking us to be irresponsible materially, but he's asking us that along with what all you have been doing or what you are doing now, you can also do something for me. You can take out some time for me as well. So you take out time for your family, you take out time for your friends, you go out, you meet new people, you meet friends, you chat with them. So spend some time with me as well, the Lord is saying. Now, how do we do that? We spend time with the Lord by hearing about Him, by knowing about Him, by trying to follow His instructions, by trying to become a devotee of the Lord, by chanting His names. So Krishna is saying that do as much as you can now. So don't think of doing very big things for me. I don't think that only if I come to this level or only if I do this thing, then only I can be a spiritual person or I can be liberated. That may be actually a very impractical thing to do. That may not be practically doable. So rather than thinking of uh, actually climbing on the peak of the mountain. So let's actually begin slowly proceeding towards the mountain. So you cannot suddenly jump on the peak of a mountain. You have to actually slowly climb a mountain. So when you have not even seen the bridge, so how can you hope to cross the bridge? So first of all, we have to take small steps towards the Lord. So take little baby steps. So that begins by chanting the names of Lord in a very serious and disciplined, committed manner. So day after day, so as much as we can, and it has to be done in uh, earnest seriousness. So as we are serious about our material life, so if you want to grow spiritually, if you want to see tangible spiritual progress, if you want to measure your spiritual progress, then we also have to very much discipline our spiritual practices. So nothing comes for free. It's not that you just hear a 1 hour lecture in the week on weekend and that will actually bring about some kind of immediate enlightenment or you will actually become a spiritual person overnight. That's not going to happen. So these all things we hear, we understand all of these things to convince our intelligence that this is a right thing to do. This is a correct thing to do. This is not something a waste of time. This is something which is really beneficial for me immediately now and also in the long run. So that's where is the role of hearing, Sravanam. So when you hear all of these things again and again, that actually impresses upon you, and then you get a spontaneous taste to chant the names of Lord. So that's why we emphasize that devotees. So when you are uh, not there on the weekends with us, so you can read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So daily you can try to read some pages, at least 4 to 5 pages, or maybe take out some time. So 15 minutes, 20 minutes you can read. So you may not understand everything in the beginning, but that's actually better than not even attempting to read. So you may understand maybe just 25% or 30% of the content of what you are reading. But that's actually good. You're at least understanding something. Something is making sense to you rather than that not knowing anything at all. So in conclusion, to actually chant better, to chant seriously, we had to daily hear about the Lord by reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, so as much as we can, in a disciplined, in a committed manner. So this is called sadhana. So sadhana means consistent spiritual practices in a very determined fashion. So you have really a lot of determination to do all of these things day after day. So then actually you can see that there is some transformation happening in you. You're actually improving in your relationship with people. You are developing good qualities. You are becoming more peaceful. You are becoming more sober. You are becoming more calm. You are becoming more composed. So you can see that the different positive changes what are happening in your life. You can understand that you are improving. So that's just a material side to it. But the real transformation which happens is that you start developing attraction towards the Lord. You start feeling devotion towards the Lord. You start feeling that you want to do something for the Lord. You want to know more about Him. You want to come to the temple of Lord. You want to talk to His devotees. You want to do some service to the Lord. So that's a real thing which happens when you sincerely do your sadhana, when you sincerely chant the names of Lord, when you sincerely hear about the Lord's glories from Bhagavad Gita. So we'll go to the verse 15 now. So the Lord is saying that these qualities are very much important, that do not get disturbed in happiness and distress. So the situations may be sometimes favorable and unfavorable, but we have to actually go on with our spiritual responsibilities. We have to carry on with our spiritual practices. And so although we may like sometimes, we may not like sometimes, it may actually make sense to us, it may not make any sense to us. We may actually feel this is not uh, helping me immediately in any way. It doesn't matter. But what you have to understand that you are becoming eligible for the ultimate goal of life. So what Krishna says here, so the Lord says, eligible for liberation. So in Bhagavad Gita, the Sanskrit words, the word used is Amritattvaya Kalpate. So Amrit. So what's the meaning of the word Mrita? It means somebody who is dead, Mrityu, death. So Amrita means deathlessness, immortality. So how can we become immortal? How can we overcome this cycle of death? So that is possible by Krishna conscious engagements, chanting about the Lord, performing bhakti to the Lord. So that actually makes us immortal, Amrita, Amritatvaya Kalpate. So we become eligible for liberation. So don't think of Amrit as some kind of heavenly nectar. So Amrit means it's the opposite state of death, Amrit. So you might have heard this aphorism, Vedic words, Vedic sutra, Asato ma satagama, tamaso ma jyotirgama, amrito ma mrityu ma amritam kamaya. So go from darkness or something which is temporary to light, the real thing, the reality. Tamasoma Jyotirgama, go from ignorance to knowledge. Mrityurma Amritam Gama, go from state of dying again and again to become immortal. And here is the secret to become immortal, or rather become eligible for liberation, is to not be disturbed by things of this world. So like the present pandemic situation, so people are a lot of people are actually unnecessarily panicking so much about this thing. So it may happen to anybody. There is no guarantee that it may not happen to you or me. But what's the point in actually uh, getting so much anxious, getting so much disturbed, or becoming so much fearful about all of these things, when it may not be that much necessary for me to be fearful at this point of time? We have to observe the precautions, and still somebody actually gets this infection. What can be done? But why unnecessarily be very much affected by what is happening, what we hear in the news, what is told in the media, and all of that? That's actually not disturb us that much. So that's called a state of being undisturbed. So whatever happens, that's going to happen. It may happen to everybody, but not actually creating that much hue and cry when things are really not so much bad. So over quantifying a particular kind of situation. So thinking that no, it's a very big thing and all of that. Yeah. So has to be some precautions. We need to observe all the rules and regulations we need to follow. But why be very much scared? Why be very much disturbed with all of these things? So I give just uh, a modern example, the present scenario, what people actually are going through. So they are very much disturbed by all of these things. So whatever we get, happiness or distress, it's all actually based on our present and past actions, our karma. So that is supposed to come, but that should not actually uh, impede. That should actually not disturb our spiritual life. So our spiritual practices should be completely exclusive of what happens to us in this world. So I'll just give one or two examples for this. So we can see the example of Prahlad Maharaj. We can see the example of Kunti Devi. We can see the example of Pandavas, who actually had to face so many reversals, so many setbacks, so many difficulties, who had to actually suffer so much. So Prahlad, his father Hiranyakashipu, tried to actually kill him. He was trying to kill him because he was not actually stopping the worship of Lord Vishnu. So the Pandavas, they actually lost everything. They were exiled, but still they were actually devotees of the Lord. So still they were served the Lord. It's not that they actually became disturbed by all of these things and they forgot their spiritual practices. So what I'm trying to convey is that so happiness and distress, what we get in this world, it's all predestined. That is going to come. So that should be a completely uh, different thing from our spiritual life. So it's not actually obstruct our spiritual practices. So this understanding itself is very difficult to digest. It's a very exalted state, but still we can understand by seeing these examples that if somebody is undisturbed in all of the situations, then uh, they actually eventually attain the grace of the Lord. They attain the mercy of the Lord. So what happens if we actually try to change the situations every time? If we try to do so, what is called tit for tat, that somebody did something wrong to you, also try to take a revenge and all of that. So what happens by all of these things? We unnecessarily become more and more complicated in material affairs, in material activities that sucks a lot of our time and energy. So we actually get involved with affairs of this world. We get involved with people of this world for some silly and petty reasons. Like nowadays, we actually have a lot of disputes among family members, which end up everybody going in the court. So because people have very low level of tolerance, patience, very less maturity, very less understanding of their roles and responsibilities. So everybody is quite self-centered. Everybody is selfish. So that actually creates a lot of conflict. But when you start practicing Krishna consciousness, then actually you become very much sober. You become very peaceful. You become very calm and composed, and you understand that the higher goal of life is more important than to actually try to adjust the lower situations. So the lower situations uh, may be adjusted, we can do something, but that should be not the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is that how we can actually be a more spiritual person day after day, how we can progress spiritually more. So that's what is the essence of this verse, that we have to learn to tolerate all the difficulties. We should not be disturbed by happiness and distress, because all of that is temporary. It's not going to be permanent. So there are bad days and good days, and it comes for everybody, and it keeps on changing like seasons, like how it's not the winter season throughout the year. So summer seasons also come, autumn comes, spring comes. So we have to patiently endure all of these changes. We have to go through all of these changes, and that actually makes us steady uh, for liberation. We actually become fixed up in our spiritual practices. So I'll just pause now. So take some questions if you all have on what we just discussed now. So we have some 5 minutes more, 5 to 7 minutes more. So if you all have some questions on this, so it's
Hare
time
Krishna,
for that
Prabhuji.
now. Yes.
Prabhuji, there is the other meeting which is starting now, I think.
It's at 5:35. Okay.
It's at 5:15 it is showing now.
No, 5:35.
Okay, because that also needs to be streamed. So
Okay. Anybody has any questions?
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, Chirag, please.
We understood like we should not be moving. Means we should stay calm in the difficult situations or if when things goes wrong,
Yeah.
right? But how to implement those things in real time?
Yeah.
Because we
So
forget
yes.
all these knowledge when things happens with us.
Yes. So yeah, I expected that question from somebody because at that I didn't say how do we remain undisturbed. So yeah, I told we should be undisturbed, but how do we actually really uh, practice that quality of being undisturbed? That is possible only by sincere spiritual practices, by our sadhana. So the more actually you engage in sadhana, chanting the names of Lord, so slowly over a period of time, you will develop these qualities of patience and tolerance. But again, it will not happen overnight. It will take time. It will actually manifest. And sometime you will see that you are actually becoming more sense controlled. You are becoming more peaceful and all of that. So slowly, gradually, with our steady sadhana, spiritual practices, these things will happen. At the same time, we have to actually be convinced on an intellectual platform that it's not actually worth being disturbed. It's not good being disturbed by all of these dualities of this world. So that's actually a mental adjustment, but that's not the best thing to do because we can think, we can mentally adjust our thoughts and all of that. But because of our previous conditionings, we may actually succumb to our lower nature. So unless and until there has happened some genuine transformation. So I can just give one example here. Like there are many great spiritualists called yogis who actually, by the process of knowledge, understand that this is wrong, this is bad, I should not do that. So they artificially try to suppress themselves, they artificially try to control themselves, not falling to lower nature, not falling prey to sense objects. But we see from scriptures that they sometimes fall. It's all because there has not been any genuine transformation of the heart. Their desires have not been purified, their desires have not gone. The contaminations of the heart are still there. And that is not possible to be removed. We cannot remove those contaminations by any other process than the process of bhakti, because bhakti is not different from the Supreme Lord. So we are very insignificant, and all the other spiritual processes other than bhakti, it's all actually based on the practitioner's effort. By the process of jnana, yoga, or karma, it's all based on my effort. But the process of bhakti is actually the grace of the Lord. So when you practice bhakti, the Lord is actually bestowing His grace, bestowing His mercy upon you. So that actually helps you overcome all of these contaminations because bhakti is not different from the Lord. So we may be limited, but the Lord is not limited. So we'll see in the future lessons how some devotees of the Lord actually are undisturbed in these situations, whereas a non-devotee gets always provoked. So because it's the mercy of the unlimited Lord, so because of that, we actually become transformed. We actually develop these qualities over a period of time with sincere practice of bhakti. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. So any last question, if anybody has, we have the next meeting. If no questions, we'll pause for now. Okay. If no questions, one last announcement I have. So I think all the devotees who are present now online, so you all would have got a message regarding the upcoming this Ekadashi next Wednesday. So I urge all of you to follow this Ekadashi if you have not started following. If you have any questions, how do we follow this Ekadashi Vrata, how to do, what not to do. So I request all of you, please get in touch with your facilitators. So thank you all very much for your patient listening. So I appreciate your time a lot. So we'll end here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
गिरिधारी श्रीमद महाप्रभु की जय.
Jai.
Sri Shri Lakshmi Narasimhadev Anant Dev Prahlad Maharaj ki Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki. So thank you all once again. So we'll meet next Saturday. Hare